At the regular meeting, the new intern suddenly switched the projector screen to a time attendance report about me. Every gaze from the boss and the entire company instantly converged on me. She lifted her chin smugly and tossed a stack of photos onto the conference table. Boss, I'm reporting her. She uses the company car every day to pick up her kid. Using company property for personal matters. I request she be fired immediately. The boss's face darkened at once. I looked at the eager intern, burning to make a contribution. With a trace of pity. The so-called company car she was talking about was actually my Cullinan worth $3 million. To make business meetings easier, I had lent it to the company for free as a showpiece for a full 2 years. The air fell deathly silent. The central AC in the meeting room was clearly set to 26 degrees Celsius. Yet I felt a chill seep into my bones, not from the temperature, but from people's hearts. In the photos, the black body of the car gleamed with a somber sheen. Parked outside a kindergarten, the angle was sharp and precise, catching me bending down to lift my daughter, along with the last 4 digits of the license plate. The intern, Lam Wei, braced both hands on the table. Her youthful face, taut with collagen, radiated the fervor and righteousness of someone correcting workplace misconduct. She looked at me like a mouse stealing grain. Boss, according to the company's vehicle management rules, company cars are absolutely forbidden for personal use. Duong, as a director, not only fails to set an example but has turned the most expensive client car in the company into her personal nanny car. Every day she uses it to pick up her kid, go shopping, even take weekend outings. Her crisp voice echoed across the room. She flipped to the next slide, an Excel spreadsheet. I did a rough calculation. Duong drives about 40 kilometers a day including commuting and picking up her child. The fuel consumption of the Cullinan plus depreciation already adds up to several thousand yuan a month in hidden costs. Not even counting the driver's working hours she's occupying. She turned to the man seated at the head, Luong Than. Luong Tong, the company is pushing cost reduction and efficiency improvement. I think we should start with management. Behavior like treating company property as personal property, if it isn't dealt with strictly. How can everyone be convinced? All eyes turned to Luong Than. He was my college friend and also the founder of this company. In the early startup days, when he couldn't afford to pay my salary, I had taken out my savings to help him stay afloat. Later, when the company needed a good image to meet major clients, my 5-year-old BMW wasn't impressive enough. I didn't hesitate. I drove over the Cullinan I'd just received less than a month earlier and said, "Use it for now. Business matters." Using it once turned into 2 years. I paid for the gas, the insurance, the maintenance, sometimes when the driver was busy. I even drove it myself to the airport to pick up clients. Everyone in the company knew the car was mine, but now there wasn't a trace of protection on Luong Than's face. His brows knit together, fingers tapping the table unconsciously, a habit whenever he was weighing pros and cons. Duong, he finally said, his voice low and cold. Purely businesslike. Is what Lam Wei reported true? I looked at him, my heart skipping a beat. True? 2 years ago, when he asked to borrow my car for the company's image, he'd said, "Duong, you're taking a loss here. Once the company makes money, I'll buy you a new one." A year ago, when the company's cash flow was tight, I'd even mortgaged this car to loan him money to pay salaries. Back then he'd said, "Duong, this car is the company's lifeline and your medal of honor." And now he was asking me if it was true. I swept my gaze around the conference room. Old Zhang from sales had used this very car last week to pick up his mother-in-law from the hospital and posted about it on social media, bragging about the company's great benefits. Now he lowered his head, pretending to read notes. Zilu from administration borrowed my keys every month, claiming she needed to buy supplies but actually driving out with her boyfriend. Now she was looking at me with contempt, as if I were a petty embezzler. So before profit, friendship really wasn't worth a cent. What do you think, Luong Tong? I asked calmly, my voice so steady it surprised even me. He avoided my eyes. The photos are right here. Duong, even if you're a senior employee and an old friend, rules are rules, public is public, private is private, that's the principle. He paused, as if making up his mind. Here's what we'll do, hand over the car keys. From now on the vehicle will be managed uniformly by administration. Also, the fuel and depreciation costs Lam Wei calculated, finance will total them and deduct them from next month's salary. The corner of Lam Wei's mouth curled up like a victorious hen. Luong Tong is wise, and I think Tong should write a self-criticism to the entire company. The impact is too bad. Luong then hesitated, glanced at me, then nodded. No need for a self-criticism. A company-wide notice of criticism will be enough. A company-wide notice, salary deduction, confiscated keys. I looked at Luong Than's familiar face and suddenly felt it was unbearably strange. That was my car, but I didn't argue, didn't pull out the registration papers and throw them in his face. Because I could see the ambition in Lam Wei's eyes and the calculation in his. One wanted to step on me to climb higher, the other wanted to go with the flow and reclaim the right to use that luxury car, turning it completely into company property. After all, 2 years was long enough for people to develop illusions that something had always belonged to them. Fine, I stood, took the heavy key from my pocket, and gently set it on the table. It touched the surface with a soft click. The key's here, I accept the notice of criticism. I looked at Luong Than. A faint curve at my lips. Luong Tong, I hope this car brings the company even more good fortune. Clearly he hadn't expected me to cooperate so easily. He froze a second, then a flash of delight crossed his eyes. To Duong, it's good you understand, I'm doing this for the company. Lam Wei snatched up the key, clutching it tightly as if she'd seized a ticket into upper management. To Tong, wouldn't it have been better if you'd handed it over earlier? Why wait until someone reported you? I looked at her with pity. She didn't know what that key really meant. She thought she'd gained power. In truth, what she'd gained was a bomb, one powerful enough to blow this company to dust. The notice email was sent to every employee's inbox within half an hour. The subject line was glaring and harsh, notice of disciplinary action regarding Director Duong's misuse of company vehicle. The email listed my offenses in detail. Over a long period I had occupied the company's most high-end client car to pick up my child, shop, and conduct other personal activities, seriously violating company asset management rules and causing negative influence. I sat in my office listening to whispers drifting from the workstations outside. Who would have thought? Tong looks so aloof usually, turns out she loves petty perks. Right? That's a Cullinan, worth millions. And she drives it to pick up her kid every day. Not afraid of wear and tear? Maybe she's treated the company like her own home for a long time. Even Luong Tong doesn't use it like that. She deserved to be disciplined. Lam Wei did great this time. I lifted my coffee cup and took a sip. The bitterness spread across my tongue, but it couldn't suppress the cold surging through my chest. The door pushed open without a knock. Lam Wei walked in holding a statement sheet. Tong, finance finished the calculation. Over 2 years, based on estimated mileage, fuel, depreciation, and tolls total 128 yuan. She slapped the paper onto my desk and looked down at me from above. Luong Tong already signed. You're required to pay it in full within 3 days. Otherwise it'll be deducted from your year-end bonus and dividends. I picked up the sheet and scanned it. The math was meticulous. Even the weekend mileage when I drove to the dealership for maintenance had been counted as personal use. 128.000. I smiled faintly. Lam Wei, your math is pretty good. Of course. She lifted her chin. Tong, I know you're not convinced. But these are company rules. If you enjoyed benefits you shouldn't have. You have to pay the price. Enjoyed? I set the sheet down and leaned back, looking at her. Do you know how much the insurance for that car costs a year? She froze. The company pays it, doesn't it? No, I pay it. 50,000 a year. And maintenance? Also me. Over 10,000 each time. Well then that's something you should be doing anyway. You've been driving it for so long. Lam Wei started arguing stubbornly. Do you know who drove that car to the company 2 years ago? Who knows? Anyway, now it belongs to the company. She waved her hand impatiently. Tong, stop talking about useless things and just pay the money. I've already taken the key. If you want to use the car from now on, you'll have to submit a request form and get my approval. My approval? An intern who hadn't even been here 3 months approving the operations director's car request. Just imagining it was absurd. Fine. I picked up a pen and signed the confirmation slip. I accept this amount. Lam Wei snatched the paper away, the smile of a victor plain on her face. Tong, knowing when to yield is what makes someone capable. Oh right, Luong Tong asked me to tell you. Next Monday an important client is coming and specifically requested this car for pickup. Clear out your personal belongings from inside. Don't let the client see any child seats or toys and embarrass the company. Fine, I replied crisply. She turned and left, her heels striking the floor in sharp clicks like a declaration of ownership. I watched her back, then took out my phone, opened my banking app, and checked my balance. After that, I made a call. Hello, Lawyer Vong? This is Duong. Yes, I want to consult about a case involving a company illegally occupying personal property, as well as recovering expenses I advanced. I have all the evidence, every transfer record, every receipt. After hanging up, I opened a drawer and pulled out a document pouch from the bottom. Inside were all the original papers for that Cullinan purchase contract. Invoice, tax receipts, registration. On the registration, the name was clear, to Duong. 2 years ago, to help Luong then maintain appearances, I lent this car to the company. Back then he'd said he would sign a rental contract with me and pay $20,000 a month. I'd said forget it, why keep accounts between us? The company was just starting, saving anything was good. So not even a single sheet of paper was drawn up. I thought it was friendship. Now I realized it was a knife I'd handed them myself. If they wanted rules, if they wanted accounts, then we'd settle everything properly. I stood, left the office, and went down to the underground parking lot. The Cullinan was parked in the executive spot. Lam Wei was directing several admin staff gathered around it. Throw this cushion away, it looks tacky. And this hanging ornament too. What is this? Toss it. And that box in the trunk, take it out. Who knows what private junk is inside? That cushion was a custom latex set I'd ordered, 8 yuan. The ornament was a good luck charm my daughter made herself. The box in the trunk contained premium gifts I'd bought with my own money for clients. I stood behind a pillar watching them like a gang of thieves, throwing my things onto the ground and stepping on them. Lam Wei even sat in the driver's seat, held the steering wheel, snapped a selfie, and posted it to social media. New ride. For people who work hard. Luck won't be bad. Keep it up. I looked at the post and tapped like. Keep it up, Lam Wei. I hope you drive steadily. After all, this car doesn't have the best temper. It only recognizes its owner. Early the next morning, the HR director asked to talk with me. To Tong, considering the impact of this incident, the company has decided to temporarily suspend part of your authority. She was a woman in her 40s who usually got along well with me. Now she avoided my eyes awkwardly. Luong Tong's intention is that this week you won't need to handle specific duties for now, mainly self-reflection and handover. Handover to whom? Lam Wei. I raised a brow. An intern? Luong Tong said although Lam Wei is young, she has clear principles and dares to point out problems. The company plans to make an exception and promote her as acting head of operations for now. Sharing part of your workload. An exception promotion. I see. Step on my corpse in exchange for a management position. That deal, Lam Wei really profited. Fine, I have no objections. When I returned to the office, Lam Wei was already sitting at a temporary desk beside mine. She'd changed into business attire. Hair neatly combed without a stray strand. Looking somewhat like management now. Sister too, she said, switching forms of address but not tone. Luong Tong told me to go over client files with you. Especially Mr. True's. He's coming next week, so I need to familiarize myself first. Mr. True Keen Kwok. He was currently the company's biggest client. The one I'd snatched from a competitor 2 years ago using that very car. He cared deeply about appearances and first impressions. Back then he'd sat in my car, touched the leather seat, and said, Miss Tu, a car is like its owner, broad and bearing. Working with you, I feel reassured. Now Lam Wei wanted to take over this client. The files are all on the shared drive. Check them yourself, I said coolly. There are probably some details not in the files. Right? She leaned closer. Like what tea he likes. Dietary restrictions. Hobbies? I looked at her eager face. Mr. True likes Da Hong Pao tea. He doesn't eat seafood. He likes golf. I told half the truth. He really did like Da Hong Pao, and he really didn't eat seafood. But what he hated most were young people who didn't understand things yet pretended they did, people in a rush to show off. Got it. Lam Wei carefully wrote it in her notebook. Thanks, Sister too. Oh right, I already gave the car key to old Wang. The driver. Luong Tong said from now on this car is only for clients like Mr. True. Usually it has to stay sealed. Very good, I nodded. That afternoon I stopped by the dealership. Miss Tu, You're here. The sales manager greeted me warmly. Is there any problem with the car? No, I took out a spare key. I want a full inspection. And also upgrade the positioning system. Sure, did you bring the car? Not yet, I smiled. Someone will bring it in a few days. Manager Ha looked confused. Remember, the moment the car enters your shop, lock all the doors. Without my authorization, no one is allowed to drive it away. Seeing my serious expression, he nodded reflexively. Understood. The car's registered under your name, we only take instructions from you. Outside, the sky was gloomy as if rain were coming. I took a taxi back to the company. Passing in front of the building, I saw the Cullinan slowly driving out of the parking exit. Old Wang was driving. In the passenger seat sat Lam Wei. In the back, Luong then rested with eyes closed. They were going to meet a new client. The window rolled down. Lam Wei spotted me waiting at the crosswalk and deliberately told Old Wang to stop right in front of me. Oh, sister too. Taking a taxi? She leaned out, wearing the fake smile of a winner. Sorry, Luong Tong has business to discuss. So our car's requisitioned. It's so hot, don't overwork yourself. Go home early and take care of your kid. Luong then opened his eyes and looked at me. His gaze complicated. To Duong, if you take taxis, submit the receipts for reimbursement. Then he rolled the window back up. The black Cullinan shot forward, splashing a puddle that nearly dirtied my skirt. I stood still watching the taillights disappear into traffic. Reimbursement? Luong then, maybe you forgot. The fuel card for that car is still linked to my phone number. Just then my phone vibrated. A debit message popped up. Your fuel card at 15:30 spent 850 yuan. Using my car, filling gas with my money. Going to negotiate their business. And still mocking me for taking a taxi. Leeches. So used to sucking blood they'd forgotten shame. I took a deep breath and called the bank hotline. Hello, I'd like to report a lost fuel card. Yes, freeze it immediately. I hung up and opened the remote car control app. The screen showed the vehicle heading east at 60 km per hour. My finger hovered over the remote lock button for a second. Locking it now would be too easy on them. If I locked it, it had to be at a moment they'd remember for the rest of their lives. I closed the app and called a taxi. To the leasing office for Grade A buildings. I said. If accounts were going to be settled, we'd settle everything, including the building. The office tower the company used was a property under my name. Back when Luong then started the business and couldn't afford decent office space. I rented the floor my father left me to the company at half market price. The contract was a gentleman's agreement. Renewed yearly. Next month it would expire. Didn't Lam Wei say costs should be cut and efficiency increased? Then we'd start with rent. In the following days, I became unusually idle. Lam Wei, on the other hand, was busy to the point her feet barely touched the ground. She had to manage operations while preparing to receive Mr. True. She treated the Cullinan like her war trophy, making Old Wang wash it 3 times a day. She posted selfies inside it constantly with captions full of implication. Ability isn't just about position. It's also about configuration. At this level you must shoulder matching responsibility, tiring but worth it. Beneath them, colleagues showered hearts and praise. Young, talented, boundless future. Only I knew she was playing with fire. Friday night I was home building puzzles with my daughter when my phone rang. It was Luong Than. To Duong, where are you? His voice sounded urgent. At home. Why can't the fuel card be used? Old Wang went to fill up and it says the card's frozen. Oh, that card's under my personal name. I lost it, so I reported it and froze it. I said lightly. He choked. Then unfreeze it quickly. We need the car tomorrow. To unfreeze it I have to go to the counter in person with my ID. Banks don't work weekends, and I'm not very free. To Duong, you did this on purpose, didn't you? Luong Than's voice rose several pitches. It was just a small fine. Was there really a need to be this calculating? If company business gets delayed, can you bear that responsibility? Luong Tong, I cut in, my tone flat and cold. First, that card is mine. If I want to report it lost, I report it lost. Second, if the company is using the car, why should it use my personal card to buy gas? Doesn't finance allocate fuel money to the driver every month? Silence fell on the other end. Finance did allocate fuel funds. But whose pocket did that money go into? Luong then knew. Old Wang knew. Before, I hadn't cared because I thought the company belonged to all of us. And it didn't matter if I contributed a little extra. Now I wanted to keep accounts. Fine. To Duong. You're impressive. Luong then ground out. The company will pay for gas. And from now on, don't even think about using any company resources again. Fine. Luong Tong. I hung up and looked out at the night beyond the window. We weren't even close to finished. Sunday night I photocopied a thick stack of sorted receipts and pulled out the office lease contract. In black and white it clearly stated the lease term ended on the 20th day of the 20th month. 202x, tomorrow. Without renewal, they would count as illegal occupants. I thought for a moment. Then sent a WeChat message to the broker. Tomorrow morning at 10, bring the new client to view the space. Yes, Miss 2, that location is very hot right now. A finance company wants it at double the price. No problem, as long as it isn't the current tenant. Anyone is fine. After finishing everything, I poured myself a glass of red wine. Tomorrow would be a very interesting day. Mr. True would come for inspection. The broker would come to show the office. Lam Wei would shine, and I would draw in the net. I took an A4 sheet and began listing numbers. Car price, 3.2 million. Purchase tax, 280.000. 2 years insurance, 100.000. 2 years maintenance and repairs, 80.000. 2 years fuel, 60.000. Office rent difference, 1.2 million. Salary advances I once paid employees, 500.000. Total, 5.42 million. And that was only what could be quantified. My connections, my resources, my effort. Looking at the figure, I suddenly laughed. I'd spent over 5 million to raise a pack of ungrateful wolves. Not only were they not thankful, they'd turned around and bitten me, saying I was the one taking advantage of the company. 128.000 in fines. Ha, tomorrow I'd make them spit out every cent they'd swallowed, principal and interest. Monday morning, 9 a.m. A tense excitement filled the company. Lam Wei wore a brand new white business suit. Makeup flawless. Standing at the entrance like a soldier awaiting inspection. Old Wong parked the Cullinan in the most visible spot out front. Body polished to a shine. Tires glossed. Luong then had changed into his best suit and kept checking his watch. How long until Mr. True arrives? He landed about 40 minutes ago. Lam Wei answered, her voice trembling with excitement. I sat at my desk slowly packing my things, photo frame, mug, plant, documents. Colleagues bustled about tidying, no one paying attention to what I was doing, or rather, they simply didn't care. In their eyes I was already a sidelined, outdated director, while Lam Wei was the rising star. 9:30, Lam Wei's phone rang. Mr. True's here. Yes, I'll have old Wong drive to the gate to pick him up right away. To show proper ceremony, Mr. True's convoy had stopped at the campus gate. Our reception car had to drive out and lead them in. That was business etiquette. Lam Wei turned and shouted. Old Wong, hurry and drive to the gate. He answered, opened the door, sat in the driver's seat, and pressed the ignition. Nothing. He pressed again. Still nothing. Sweat began to bead on his forehead. What's wrong? Lam Wei clattered over in her heels. Hurry, Mr. True's watching. Old Wong panicked. It was fine just now. Impossible. Didn't you step on the brake? I did. Luong then rushed over too. Face pale. What's happening? Why break down at a time like this? Luong Tong. The car, it's locked. Old Wong stammered, pointing at the red warning light flashing on the dashboard. It says the anti-theft system is activated. Engine locked. What? Luong then yanked the door open, dragged Old Wong out, and tried himself. Sure enough, the car sat there like a lump of black iron. Where's the spare key? He roared. In the admin office. Lam Wei said, face drained. I'll get it. She ran inside and came back 2 minutes later clutching it. Useless. The Cullinan's anti-theft system was top tier. Once remotely locked through the system, without the owner's highest level authorization code, no one could drive it. Seconds ticked by. At the gate, Mr. True's convoy had already been waiting 5 minutes. His secretary called, voice irritated. Luong Tong, what do you mean by this? Are you making Mr. True stand in the sun? Sweat streamed down Luong Then's temples. Suddenly he turned and looked at me. I was standing at the company entrance holding a cardboard box, silently watching the scene. To Duong, he rushed over and grabbed my arm. Did you do something? Why won't the car start? I looked at his hand and stepped back in distaste. Luong Tong, if the car's broken, fix it. Why ask me? I'm not a mechanic. Don't play dumb. Only you can control this car. He shouted. Unlock it now. Mr. True's outside. Unlock it? I smiled and set my box down. Luong Tong, did you forget? Last Friday this car was confiscated by Manager Lam as company property. The key's with her. Management authority is with her. If it's broken now, that's your poor management. What does it have to do with me? He trembled with rage. Lam Wei rushed over too. Eyes red. To Duong, you did this on purpose. Do you want to destroy the company? Do you know how important Mr. True's order is? I do. I nodded. But what does it have to do with me? Right now I'm just an employee under disciplinary notice. Suspended for reflection. Receiving clients is important. Better leave it to someone principled like Manager Lam. Are you unlocking it or not? Luong Than's gaze turned vicious. To Duong, I'm ordering you. Unlock it immediately. Ordering. I looked at him. The smile gone from my eyes. Luong Than, what gives you the right to order me? Because I'm the boss. Oh, the boss. I took a photocopy of the registration from my pocket. Then I'll inform you too. This car is my personal property. I decide when it runs and when it doesn't. Right now I'm in a bad mood. It doesn't feel like running. He froze. So did Lam Wei. At that moment, a black Maybach slowly rolled up in front of the building. The window lowered, revealing the stern face of True Keen Kwok. He hadn't waited for the reception car. He'd told his driver to drive straight in. He saw the immobilized Cullinan. Saw Luong then drenched in sweat. Saw Lam Wei on the verge of hysteria, and saw me holding a box. His brows knit into a line. Luong Tong, is this how you receive guests? Luong Than's whole body shook. He forced out a smile uglier than crying and hurried forward. Mr. True, terribly sorry. The car suddenly malfunctioned. We'll handle it immediately. True Keen Kwok ignored him. His gaze rested on the car. Then shifted to me. He opened the door and stepped out. Miss Tu, are you preparing to resign? He pointed at the box at my feet. I smiled faintly. Yes, Mr. True. This temple's too small to hold a Buddha like me. See? They've seized the car and driven me out. The entire scene fell into deathly silence. Luong Than's face went white as paper. True Keen Kwok's expression darkened. After decades in business, what situation hadn't he seen? With one glance he understood everything. Luong Tong, he said, turning back, voice quiet but carrying unquestionable authority. I recall that 2 years ago. It was for Miss Tu's sake that I agreed to cooperate with your company. Luong then wiped cold sweat from his forehead and bent almost double. Yes, Mr. True, it's all a misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? True Keen Kwok let out a cold laugh. You seized Miss Tu's car and drove her out. Is that also a misunderstanding? He pointed at the motionless Cullinan. I've sat in this car before. At the time Miss Tu told me she brought it specially to show sincerity in receiving clients. How did it become, in your mouths, a company car misused for private affairs? Lam Wei trembled beside him. She tried to explain but his icy glance froze the words in her throat. Mr. True, please listen to me, she almost cried. Director Tu violated company rules first. Shut up. Luong then spun around and glared at her. He knew that bringing up rules now was the same as courting death. Then he turned back to me, eyes almost pleading. To Duong, help explain to Mr. True. It's just a small internal conflict. We can settle it ourselves. Don't let outsiders laugh at us. I looked at Luong Than's fawning posture. And not a single ripple stirred in my heart. Luong Tong, now you finally feel embarrassed? When you issued that public reprimand, why didn't you think about embarrassment? When you let Lam Wei throw my things on the floor and stomp on them, why didn't you think about embarrassment? I bent down and hugged the cardboard box. True Tong, I'm sorry you had to witness this. But starting today, I no longer have any relationship with this company. This car, I'm taking it back as well. As I spoke, I pulled out my phone right in front of everyone and opened the remote control app. Unlock. The headlights flashed twice, beeping as the system disengaged. Old Wong, get out, I said to the driver. Old Wong had been frozen with fear, hearing me call him. He scrambled out in a panic. True Tong, if you don't mind, I can use this car to take you to your next appointment. As for this company, I glanced at Luong Than and Lam Wei. They're probably better suited to riding shared bicycles. True Kim Kwok burst out laughing. Good, Miss Tu. You're refreshingly straightforward. As it happens, I have a new project that needs a partner who truly understands the industry. Let's talk in the car. Luong then completely panicked. If True Tong left, the company's biggest cash flow would be cut off. True Tong, please don't go. We haven't finished discussing yet. He tried to grab his sleeve. True Kim Kwok's bodyguard stepped forward and blocked him. Luong Tong, before doing business, one must first be a decent human being. Without character, you can't build a big enterprise. After saying that, True Kim Kwok turned and walked toward my Cullinan. I opened the door with a courteous gesture, then got into the driver's seat and started the engine. The V12 roared low and powerful, like a beast that had been suppressed too long finally awakening. In the rearview mirror I saw Luong then collapse onto the ground. Lam Wei covered her face and cried. The colleagues who had mocked me stood at the company entrance, staring at each other helplessly like sheep that had lost their shepherd. The car rolled out of the complex, leaving everything behind. Miss Tu, that move was beautiful, True Kim Kwok praised from the backseat. You flatter me. But, he changed tone, are you really just leaving like this? That's letting them off too easily. I held the steering wheel and looked ahead at the road. Too easily? How could it be that easy? I glanced at the clock. 10 sharp. The broker should have brought the new client by now. My phone vibrated. It was a message from the broker. Miss Tu. We've arrived. Luong Tong seems upset, and the receptionist won't let us in. I replied, call the police immediately. Sue them for illegal occupation. Have the lease contract and the property certificate copies ready. I set the phone down, the corner of my lips lifting into a cold smile. Luong Than, Lam Wei, the real show has only just begun. After dropping True Tong off, I went straight to the law office. Lawyer Vong had already prepared the complaint. Miss Tu, based on the evidence you provided, we can sue the company to reimburse the vehicle usage fees, the advances you paid on behalf of the company, and compensation for reputational damage. The chances of winning are very high. In addition, regarding the building lease, since they refused to vacate after expiration and didn't renew, you can apply for compulsory enforcement and demand double rent for the overdue occupancy period. I flipped through the thick stack of documents, calculating silently. Lawyer Vong, add one more charge. What is it? Defamation. I pointed to a screenshot of the company-wide email. Lam Wei maliciously fabricated facts to smear me, damaging my reputation in the industry. I want to sue her personally and demand a public apology and compensation for emotional distress. Lawyer Vong pushed up his glasses. That may be slightly tricky in terms of evidence collection, since this was an internal company email. I have recordings. I took out a recording pen. That day in the meeting room. From the moment she opened her mouth, I pressed record. Everything afterward in the office when she forced me to pay the fine, I recorded all of it. Lawyer Vong listened, then smiled. Miss Tu, you really plan ahead. With this, Lam Wei won't escape this time. By the time I left the law office, it was already afternoon. I checked my phone and found the company group chat had exploded. Even though I'd left the group, a few subordinates who were close to me privately sent screenshots. The chat was full of wailing complaints. The broker had brought the police and the new tenant right to the door. After checking the property ownership certificate and the expired lease, the police directly ordered the company to move out within the prescribed time. The new tenant was a firm specializing in P2P debt collection, people who weren't nearly as easy to talk to as I was. Several tattooed men stood blocking the entrance. The receptionist was trembling in fear. Luong then hid in his office, not daring to come out. Lam Wei was pushed forward to face them and was verbally battered speechless, able only to cry. Even more interesting, True Tong's side acted fast. At 2 p.m., the legal department of True Group officially sent a notice announcing the termination of all cooperation with Luong Than's company and reserving the right to pursue liability for breach of contract. With such a coordinated series of blows, Luong Than's company was basically finished. Right then, Luong then called. I looked at his name flashing on the screen and let it ring for a full minute before leisurely answering. Allo, to Duong, what exactly do you want? His voice was hoarse, filled with desperation and anger. Are you trying to drive me to my death? Luong Tong, that's an exaggeration. I'm only taking back what belongs to me. The house is mine. The car is mine, you admit that. But why did you make True Tong cancel the contract? Why did you bring people to cause trouble? True Tong cancelled because he saw you lack integrity. And I brought people to reclaim the property because you refused to leave. My tone was calm. To Duong, be reasonable. We were classmates. After all, do you really have to go this far? His voice softened, playing the emotional card. If the company collapses, what do you gain? You invested so much effort too. Effort? I laughed. My effort was treated by you as something you were entitled to enjoy. Treated by Lam Wei as a stepping stone. Treated by you as trash that could be discarded anytime. Luong Than, when you silently allowed her to humiliate me. When you tried to seize my car just to save a little money. Our friendship was already over. To Duong, I was wrong. I really was wrong. He began pleading. Come back. The director position is still yours. I'll make you vice president. I'll fire Lam Wei immediately. The car will be returned. The rent, I'll pay double. I'm begging you. Please talk to True Tong for me. Too late. I looked down at the busy crowd flowing beneath the law office building. The court summons should reach you tomorrow. Save your explanations for Judge Ni. I hung up and blocked the number. The world fell quiet. I took a deep breath. The air smelled like freedom. But things didn't end there. That evening, a hashtag suddenly exploded on Weibo. Hashtag rich female executive bullies intern hash. Clicking and revealed a long post. The featured images were a photo of Lam Wei crying in a car and a shot of my back as I carried a cardboard box after being driven out of the company. In the post, Lam Wei portrayed herself as a righteous Gen Z workplace reformer who dared to challenge unspoken rules. She claimed she discovered a senior female executive embezzling company resources by using a company car for private purposes and bravely reported it. Only to be viciously retaliated against. According to her, that executive used powerful capital backing to destroy the company and even mobilized gangsters to threaten people, leaving hundreds of employees facing unemployment. The post was soaked in tears and emotional manipulation. The comments quickly exceeded 10,000. Disgusting. Is this the true face of capital? You're amazing, sister. Vermin like that should be exposed. Poor thing. Offending someone powerful like that, you'll never find work again. Some people even dug up a blurry photo of me. It wasn't clear, but anyone who knew me would recognize it instantly. My phone began receiving all kinds of harassing messages and abusive calls. So Lam Wei wanted mutual destruction. She thought public opinion could flip the board. Naive. She didn't understand that public opinion is a double-edged blade. If she wanted to go big, then I'd play big with her. I didn't rush to respond. I let the bullets fly a little longer. The next morning, Luong Than's company held a press conference to explain the situation. It was Lam Wei's idea. And also Luong Than's last life-saving straw. They wanted to play the victim. Win sympathy. Pressure me into withdrawing the lawsuit. Even pressure True Tong into changing his mind. The event was held in the plaza below the company building. Quite a few online KOLs and several small media outlets showed up. Lam Wei appeared barefaced, eyes swollen red, looking fragile and pitiful. Luong then stood beside her, his haggard face making him look as though his hair had turned white overnight. Dear members of the press, Lam Wei began, her voice choked with emotion. I only did what an employee should do. The company has rules that company cars must not be used for private purposes. I didn't expect the price of defending the rules to be this high. The former director, Ms. Tu, no, Mrs. Tu, not only occupied company assets but also used personal connections to suppress the company, causing us to be unable to operate normally now. Flashlights burst non-stop. The reporter's questions were sharp and direct. What is the exact amount Ms. Tu spent using the company car for personal matters? 18,000. Lam Wei read out. That's only the fuel and depreciation for 2 years. Then why did she retaliate against the company? Because she believed the company couldn't function without her. Believed she had special privilege. In the live stream chat, the comments were full of curses aimed at me. This kind of person is too arrogant, must be strictly investigated. She must apologize. I sat on my sofa at home watching the stream while sipping bird's nest soup. Enough. I picked up my phone and texted lawyer Vong, go ahead. 5 minutes later, a brand new account named Chidwang posted a video. No background music, no effects, just evidence. Part 1. Document chain. The car purchase invoice, registration, insurance, maintenance records. Every page clearly displayed the owner's name, Chidwang. Dates from 2 years ago. Caption. The so-called company car is actually my private vehicle. Purchased for 3.2 million and lent to the company for free. Part 2. Financial transactions. Bank statements showing salary advances I paid. Proof the company never paid any rental fee for the car. Plus documents showing the fuel card, frozen, was registered under my personal name. Caption. For 2 years I didn't receive a single cent in rent. I paid for the car's upkeep and even advanced salaries. The so-called misuse of a company car was in fact the company occupying a private vehicle as its own. Part 3. Real estate certificates. Property deed and lease contract. Caption. The company office building is also my property. Rented at half market price. Lease expired and not renewed equals illegal occupation. Part 4. Audio recording. The conversation between Lam Wei and Luong Then in the meeting room. This car is the company's lifeline. Hurry and pay the money. I've already taken the keys. From now on, if you want to use the car, you submit an application for my approval. The recording was crystal clear. The arrogant tone completely different from her pitiful livestream persona. Finally, the court's case acceptance notice. Lawsuit filed against Luong Than's company and against Lam Wei personally. All matters will be handled by law. The moment the video went up, the official account of True Group immediately reposted it with the caption, "Right and wrong will be judged by the public." True Group always supports honest partners. Soon after, several major industry influencers I had once helped also shared it. Public opinion flipped instantly. The livestream comment feed froze for a few seconds, then exploded. Oh my god, plot twist. Rich queen, please notice me. I want to borrow a Cullinan too. The nerve, using someone else's car for show and then biting back. Real life farmer and snake. That intern is pure green tea energy. Her voice in the recording makes me sick. The boss is shameless, living off someone else and still acting superior. Reporters on site also received the notifications on their phones. The sympathy in their eyes instantly turned into contempt and excitement. Luong Tong, is the evidence Ms. To provided true? Is the Cullinan really her personal property? Ms. Lam, are you the person in the recording threatening your superior? Have you been exploiting public sympathy? Microphones were practically shoved into Lam Wei's face. Her complexion turned deathly pale, she stumbled backward and crashed into the backdrop. No, that's not true. It's edited. It's fake. Sweat poured down Luong Than's face. He stammered, unable to form a sentence. This is all a misunderstanding. We'll verify it when we get back. He grabbed Lam Wei and tried to run. But the debt collectors hired by the new tenant had already surrounded them. Luong Tong, don't rush off. The matter of the property isn't settled yet. When are you moving out? The cameras faithfully recorded everything. Luong Than disheveled and pathetic. Lam Wei gray-faced like ashes. I had won this round. Won it completely. A few days later, Luong Than's company declared bankruptcy and entered liquidation. In truth, it hadn't reached that point at first. But he had offended True Tong and lost face across the entire internet. No clients dared cooperate anymore. Add the massive compensation I demanded. And his cash flow snapped completely. Lam Wei was fired. I heard she left in disgrace. Colleagues pointing and whispering, some even throwing crumpled paper at her. She tried to demand compensation from Luong Than, only to be slapped across the face by him. It's all your fault. If you hadn't thought you were so clever, how could the company have collapsed? That slap shattered her workplace dream, and her dream of climbing upward. A month later, in my new company office, I saw Luong Than again. He had grown gaunt, beard unshaven, shirt wrinkled. He had come to beg. To Duong, for the sake of our old friendship, withdraw the lawsuit. He lowered his head, voice hoarse. I have nothing left now. My house and car are sealed. I'm drowning in debt. If you keep suing, I'll end up in prison. I sat behind my wide desk, slowly spinning the Cullinan key in my hand. Luong Than, when you find me 128.000. Did you think about today? He closed his eyes in pain. I was possessed. I was jealous of you, jealous that you had money, ability, that the whole company listened to you. I wanted to prove I was the boss. I wanted to crush you. So you indulged Lam Wei? Yes, I saw myself in her when I was young. Ambitious. Ambition. I let out a cold laugh. Ambition without ability or boundaries is just greed. To Duong, I really know I was wrong. Please spare me. With a thud, he dropped to his knees. Even if I work for you to repay the debt, I'll do it. I looked at the man kneeling on the floor. There was no pleasure in my heart, only a cold sadness. This was the old friend I had once helped with all my strength. The partner I had once trusted. In the face of profit, human nature turned out to be this fragile. Luong Than, I don't lack employees. I stood, walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, and looked down at the traffic below. I will pursue the lawsuit to the end. Not 1 cent less in compensation. That's my principle. As for what happens to you afterward, that's your business. See him out. Security came in and dragged him away. He kept calling my name, his voice fading into the distance. After dealing with Luong Than, there was still Lam Wei. She sent me countless messages, countless apology letters. Miss Tu, I was wrong. I was impulsive. Luong Than misled me. Miss Tu, I'm still young. Please don't ruin me. If the defamation charge stands, I'll have a criminal record. How will I ever find work? Miss Tu, please meet me once. I'll kneel and apologize if I have to. I didn't reply to a single one. Until the day of the trial, when I saw her at the courthouse gate. She wore a simple white t-shirt, no makeup, looking like an ordinary college girl. When she saw me, she rushed forward to grab my hand, but my lawyer blocked her. Miss Tu, she sobbed. I stopped, removed my sunglasses, and looked at her. Lam Wei, do you feel wronged? She nodded frantically. I don't, I said softly. I spent 3 million buying that car. 500,000 advancing salaries. 1 million covering rent. In the end I got your accusation and humiliation. You lost only a job. Maybe gained a criminal record. I almost lost my dignity. Young people wanting to rise isn't wrong, but you can't climb by stepping on someone else's kindness. That lesson isn't something 128.000 can buy. I hope you remember it. After saying that, I turned and walked straight through the courthouse gates. Behind me rose Lam Wei's desperate sobbing. Half a year later, I founded my own consulting firm, and True Keen Kwok became my angel investor. Business flourished. That car was still the one I used. Except now I had hired a new driver. Sometimes I still thought back to that period, remembering the days I ate instant noodles to save money so I could buy equipment for the company. Remembering the nights I drank with clients until I had stomach bleeding. That was my youth, and it was also my naivety. One day I was inspecting shops in a shopping mall, in front of a milk tea store on basement level B1. I saw a familiar figure. It was Lam Wei. She wore the shop uniform, a mask and cap, skillfully sealing cups of milk tea. Hello, customer, your pearl milk tea is ready. Her voice was slightly hoarse, no longer sharp or arrogant like it had been in the conference room years ago. I stood not far away, silently watching her. A customer complained she was too slow and scolded her. She kept bowing her head. Sorry, it'll be ready right away. The customer still wouldn't let it go and knocked a cup of milk tea onto the counter. Lam Wei didn't argue. She just quietly took a cloth and wiped it clean. Eyes reddening. The scene felt strangely familiar. Only now, the once unstoppable workplace rectifier had finally been rectified by life itself. I didn't step forward, and I didn't buy any tea. As I turned to leave, I heard people beside me whispering. That employee is pitiful. I heard she used to be a manager at a big company. Come on, she brought it on herself. Didn't you hear about that thing online before? That's her. Oh right, I remember now. Serves her right. I walked out of the mall. The sunlight felt a little harsh. My driver opened the car door. President 2. Where to? Home. The car started smoothly and merged into traffic. I thought the story could finally close. But I didn't expect there would still be one last ending. That night, I took my daughter for a walk in the park. When we passed beneath an overpass, I saw a homeless man rummaging through a trash can. Even though he was filthy, hair matted together, I still recognized that silhouette. It was Luong Than. Perhaps he sensed my gaze. He turned his head, and our eyes met. His eyes were dull and lifeless. But when he saw me, a spark flashed, then instantly turned into enormous shame and fear. He hurriedly grabbed half a loaf of bread he had just picked up and ran. Staggering so badly he even lost one shoe. I didn't chase him. My daughter tugged my hand. Mom, what's wrong with that man? I stroked her head. He got lost. Will he be able to go home? Probably not. After the bankruptcy, Luong Than's wife divorced him and took their child, along with what little money remained. He carried a mountain of debt, was placed on the blacklist for defaulters. And couldn't even take high-speed trains. I heard he had once tried to kill himself but failed. Now he had become the most ordinary shadow in this city. I looked toward the direction where he had disappeared. The last ripple in my heart finally stilled. Not every bad person meets divine punishment. Often, people destroy themselves. Kindness is a choice, not an obligation, especially toward those who don't know gratitude. If back then I hadn't owned that car. If I hadn't owned that office floor. If I hadn't had connections like True Tong. Maybe today the one digging through trash under the bridge would have been me. This world is harsh. That was the final lesson I left for Lam Wei and Luan Than. The tuition was just a little expensive. I held my daughter's hand and walked slowly forward. Street lights stretched our shadows long. The black Cullinan stood quietly by the roadside like a loyal bodyguard. This time, I knew for certain, the steering wheel had to stay in my own hands. That's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to China Story Tales, and stay tuned for more stories.